My name is Austin. I've struggled with a pornography addiction for many years now. I can't remember how long it's been. It's been a while. It's been a struggle. I can speak into this because I've found freedom in recent years. Using this software has really helped with that. I wish that more people understood how common the issue really is. There's a lot of people that struggle with it. I feel like the very nature within anybody with this struggle is to not want it to be known. There's shame and guilt that comes along with it to even struggle with, let alone struggling with being someone who's supposed to be a spiritual leader or someone who was in training to be a spiritual leader when I first was really heading towards what success looks like for me. Knowing that and knowing how common it is really helps with sharing it myself, because it's one of those things, people say this about sin a lot in general, is that it likes to hide. It likes to be in the darkness. When you shed light on it, it takes away its power. It's almost like something that's more scary feeling than it really is when you don't look at it straight in the face or when you don't reach out for help. I feel like that's what really helped me. If there's one word I use to talk about what helped me get out of this, it's accountability. We need accountability for a lot of things in our life, but especially for something like lust and the kinds of things that drives you to do. There's just nothing that's better than being accountable to somebody else for those thoughts. My current accountability partner likes to come to me and say, and this is how they start the conversation, they say, how's your thought life? That's really a good way to put it, because it starts in your mind and then it branches out to the things that we do to feed that lustful desire. Lust being really the root sin of this problem. When it comes to the particular part of being a pastor, I felt like the timeline of my struggle to success was right on the cusp of where it could have really caused me huge issues, because I was about 6 months in to my first ministry job when I started what I'm calling my current streak of being porn free. There was 6 months there where I was still in church leadership and still struggling with this. I feel like I'm probably not the norm when it comes to that. I feel like there's probably plenty of people that still struggle with it, even though they might preach on a weekly basis. They're trying to struggle with that, probably, potentially, sadly, all by themselves, struggling with this and not reaching out and getting help or using tools that are available like your software to get traction. That's something that I think congregations need to understand, that churchgoers need to understand, is that pastors are people too. They have struggles. They have sins that they are going to struggle with as well. This is a particularly hard one because a lot of the times this kind of thing can end a pastor's job, really. Sexual sin or that kind of thing can just be a breaking point. And it has been publicly in a lot of cases. On that side of things, I feel really blessed, really blessed in the time frame of when I broke out of it. My thoughts that I would want to share with anybody that is currently a pastor that's currently struggling with pornography is don't struggle alone. Stop struggling alone if you are. If you don't already have accountability with somebody, you need it. You need somebody who's allowed to call you out on pretty much anything, especially this. That was a big thing for me, was knowing that it wasn't going to be on me to tell on myself. It was going to be known. I wasn't going to have the opportunity to hide in a struggle for any manner of time. It was going to be made known to my accountability partner pretty soon after messing up. So that was good, honestly. That was really good for me. I don't know if that's a symptom of another problem I have, which is being anti-confrontational. The good side of that is that I didn't want to have that conversation. So a lot of times that was all it took, was that positive peer pressure of, I don't want to have to explain, oh, yeah, I messed up. This has really brought it to light for me. I didn't actually end up joining a group. It was more that one-on-one accountability with a couple different people when I got here. Within 8 months, I had 2 people that were solid in my life, free to ask me anything. Then a little bit after that, I actually started going to Celebrate Recovery meetings. It's basically Christian AA. They start from a point of, we understand that the higher power that they talk about in AA meetings is God. And they go from there and do a lot of the same steps, really. And their whole mantra and start of thinking is that you can work these steps on anything that's a hurt, a habit, or a hang up in your life. It doesn't have to be the classic alcohol or any other kind of substance abuse. It can be a sin habit or an addiction. What I had going on with pornography, it was definitely an addiction. I not only had that personal accountability one-on-one with a couple different people separately, but I also started going to those meetings and then got that group aspect of it, and come to find out that there were some other people in the group that struggled with the same thing too. That's the other thing about bringing sin struggles to light, is you realize just how not alone you are, and you feel like you wish you had talked about it sooner, because then you would have realized you weren't alone. Because that's another thing that sin does, is that it likes to make you think that you're alone. That's just another tool that's used psychologically to keep you there. You're crazy for struggling with this. No one else struggles with that. What's wrong with you? No, none of that's real. I guess the other thing to really focus on, or to encourage people, would be that when you're in a zone like that, it really affects the way that you view a lot of things. It's like a filter on everything you see and everything that you experience. I started to notice a difference in myself the further I was removed. There were times where I would stumble across something, and I knew that old me would have seen it as an opportunity to, oh, well, I can indulge in this for a while. It's just not how it was anymore. My first gut reaction was to fast forward what I was watching instead of rewinding it, for example, and telling my accountability partner about it the very next time I saw them. It wasn't something that happened on a device that was tracked or anything like that. In the moment, my gut reaction was, oh, get past that. Then realizing later, that is not how I would have reacted to that even a few months ago, when I was really in the heart of that addiction. That would be another thing to know, is that true mind transformation and neurological path rewiring can happen. It's a real recovery process that can happen. You don't have to be stuck where you're at and in the current ways of thinking that you're in. You don't have to stay there. The first thing that comes to mind is accountability. When people ask me about this, or I get the opportunity to talk about it, I talk about accountability, and it's right there in your software's name. Just having that extra layer of, it's not up to me to hold myself accountable, at least when I'm accountable to the point of I've put that on all the devices I have access to. I'm 8 years in and I still have it on my computer. And I don't want to call it a safety net, but it's just something that in the back of my mind, it does truly fade away out of the front of my mind. It's not really something that I'm reminded of every time I turn on my computer or anything. But the temptation doesn't ever truly go away. If there is one more thing to include, it's that specifically with this struggle, I have noticed that there's good months and then there's bad weeks. There's moments of almost weakness, and still having that accountability and still having those people that are allowed to ask me whatever, whenever, and still use that terminology, how's your thought life? That's where it starts. Still having the software installed on my devices on pretty much everything that I have access to. Just having that there still helps. It helps before things get too heavy in the thoughts of, am I going to go there? Am I going to mess up with this? Even after all this time, it helps with saying no, knowing that it's going to be not optional to be held accountable. It's not going to be up to me to inform my accountability partner that's set up to get the emails. That's really helped. I know that if I truly wanted to, I could mess up after we're done with this phone call, but I don't want to. That's not what I want for my life. That's not what I want for my wife. That's not what I want for the people that are under me and my teaching at church, that's not what I want for my kids. It's not what I want for my life. So knowing that and just having that extra layer of protection and that extra layer of push in the right direction, it just really helps. That's why I really like this versus other things that I've tried before. I tried filters. You can always get around a filter one way or another, soft core or hardcore, you can get there. I experienced that. I did that. You can't get around the fact that your accountability partner is either going to know that you looked at something fishy or you uninstalled Ever Accountable. That was worth the money right there. That was worth every cent. I'm not even the lead pastor either. I'm sure there's lead pastors out there that are still struggling and still wondering, how do I start getting help without my life just falling apart? Trying to quit watching pornography is like trying to quit smoking with a pack of cigarettes in your pocket all the time. With the way technology is now and cell phones, I feel like that's pretty accurate. I just preached this Sunday on tragedies. We covered Herod killing all the babies around Bethlehem 2 years and younger, trying to get to Jesus. The big focus of it was that God doesn't stop all tragedies. He also doesn't let a single tear go to waste. That's how I viewed my struggling with this. Would I have rather not struggle with this at all? Yes. Instead, there's so much use and so much reason to speak out about it and to try and help other people, because otherwise it would be more of a waste and more of a, why did I even have to go through that at all? On the flip side, sharing as much as I do at every chance I get, even if it just helps one person, it's going to be worth it. Hopefully it'll help a lot more.